pool BartStorage state is degraded. One or more devices could not be opened. Sufficient replicas exist for the pool to continue functioning in a degraded state.
I'm sorry, did you say pool BartStorage?
The server's name is Bart, and the pool is named BartStorage.
Wait,
it's storage on Bart.
Your server is named Bart?
All my computers are named after Simpsons. Well, that's not true. My desktop machine is named Farnsworth.
Okay.
My streaming computer is named Brockman.
Okay.
My server is named Bart. The last one was Flanders.
Ah, okay.
Actually, I'm sorry. The pool is BartStorage because the last server was Bart. The current server is Flanders.
Still can't stop laughing at BartStorage.
What do you name your computers?
So I moved beyond the cutesy names for devices on my network years ago.
Mister.
No. But I have gone entirely utilitarian, so I don't have to think when I look at a thing. For example, well, if you really want to get down to it, I have gone full narcissist.
Oh no, shoegazer.
I just find ways to substitute the word shoe into every device name I can think of.
Okay.
This started, longtime GameSpot fans will remember Rich Gallup talking about this about 15 years ago when he saw that I had named my iPod ShoePod.
Oh.
And so now I have ShoePhone 8.
Okay.
I have WinShoes 10.
Okay.
I have ShoeNAS.
Yeah.
Which was a play on FreeNAS, but then when they rebranded to TrueNAS, I thought, wow, ShoeNAS really makes sense now.
Much better now, yeah.
Let's see what else we got here. Shuku.
The Roku is named Shuku?
Yes, the Roku's host name is Shuku.
What is your Xbox called? Is it called the Shoebox?
Shoebox Series X.
Oh no. What about the PS5? You can rename the PS5s, right?
Shoe Station 5.
Oh, Brad.
I'm totally not joking.
This cold open, I was expecting a sad tale of woe, and you brought a glimmer of hope to my life.
Dude, there is zero guesswork when I look at my list of clients, my DHCP manifest.
Okay, so
I have no thought whatsoever about which device is which.
ShoePad for the iPad?
Yes, of course. ShoePad Pro, of course.
Apologies.
Let me tell you about how the root account on my router is called Bradman.
Oh, you can't tell people.
See, that was too good not to tell.
Okay, I'll allow Bradman. God, no. So I don't know. I've been doing Simpsons stuff since the 90s. Probably.
No, that's acceptable. That was the last time The Simpsons was good, so I will allow it. As long as you can remember the device names, as long as they mean something to you and it doesn't jam up your workflow, then more power to you. What's
funny is I've been doing the Simpsons names for so long that Flanders to me is a server first and a character second now.
So it's like a HAL situation now where the computer has superseded the humanity.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so Flanders is screaming, I lost one of the drives.
So Flanders is your
free NAS box. Yeah.
Is your free NAS box? Okay. Sorry. So you sounds like you lost a drive.
I absolutely have lost a drive.
Do you know why?
I would guess something stopped working. So this is maybe a bad system adminning on my part, but I don't necessarily pay attention to the notifications on the TrueNAS device all the time.
Get it? Oh, well, the notification. Well, I don't log in every day. That's too much work.
Yeah, no, that would be crazy.
Do you have email alerts set up?
At one point, yes, I did have email alerts set up, but apparently not recently, because the thing that I got, the way I found out about this was Gina came in and she was like, hey, the server's making weird noises. You might want to go look at it.
Ooh.
And our power went out during the rainstorms last weekend.
Oh,
so I assumed that something was up and down or whatever. It was
do you not have it on a UPS?
No, of course not.
Dude, what?
It costs too much. I'm not going to plug a UPS in. Okay. My server is up on the highest shelf in the garage. It's 8 feet off the ground. If I put a UPS up there here in the earthquake belt and there was an earthquake, I could kill not one person, but two people when they fall off.
Might be like a toxic chemical spill if that thing came down.
Yeah, it's a bad idea.
Is it? Yeah, it's like a Xeon, right?
No. It's a Broadwell E. It's a DDR4 core i7.
What kind of case is it? A rack?
No,
case?
It's in an old Corsair silent case. It's just it's like a bog standard tower.
Oh wow,
tower.
This is way less fancy than I thought.
Yeah, no. I have not racked anything out there because it's easier to store something vertical than horizontal.
Well, hey, we should talk about this. If you want to rack a nut server, then we could avoid this problem next time, and you wouldn't have a degraded pool.
Okay, so I ordered a new hard drive. I went to the Shucker site and I found that it's a pretty good time to buy 14 terabyte drives, which that one drive that I'm buying right now will hold an emergency backup of everything that's on the server.
It's not a bad way to go.
I did find when I looked at the notifications, I was like, oh, hey, there's 7 notifications. That seems bad. Device/dev GPTID and then a whole bunch of numbers and letters is causing slow IO on pool BartStorage a month ago. So I did have a warning, probably, I'm going to say now. Anyway,
chose to ignore it.
Yeah, we're gonna get the new drive in, back everything up as fast as humanly possible. It is also dumped up in a cloud backup someplace, but that's a pain in the ass to restore, and I'd rather not have to do that. And then I think I'm going to Proxmox it. I think I'm going to switch over. I'm going to become a
virtualize.
Well, Brad, I'm kind of thinking about buying a Synology.
Okay.
Because there's something compelling about not having to think about this as much and just like jam some hard drives in slots and then have data stay there. But right now I'm thinking, man, if the Plex server goes down, my daughter's going to be pretty unhappy. And that's followed by if the Plex server comes down, I don't want to have to re-rip the Blu-rays that I haven't bothered to back up because it's like 12 gigs of data or something ridiculous. And I don't want to have to re-rip all those Blu-rays because I just took the Blu-ray drive out of my computer case for the first time in like 15 years.
Maintaining domestic tranquility, I think, is a good excuse here. So I can get behind this.
Right.
I think it's time to show Flanders a little TLC.
Well, so here's the question, though. How many slots? If I was going to buy a Synology, you think 5 is enough?
I don't know, man. This question is exactly what drove me away from getting a Synology. I started out on my NAS quest planning to buy a Synology.
Well, I actively dissuaded you at the time because they were kind of underpowered back then, and now they're okay. So here's the plan. Here's the real plan. The plan is to put Proxmox on real hardware with a very small drive.
Okay.
And then store all the VMs for Proxmox and also all the media and the other things on the NAS where they'd be impervious.
Okay.
And then I have more points of failure.
You sure do.
Which seems bad.
You've also got some more bottlenecks in there unless you're planning to go 10 gigabit network.
Well, you can get 10 gigabit pretty easy now, is my understanding.
On a Synology?
Yeah, Synology will do 10 gigabit.
I think you were going mad with power. I don't know.
You think I'm flying too close to the sun here, like Icarus? My wax wings are melting beneath me.
I might recommend just shoving another drive in Flanders and calling it a day.
Welcome to Brad and Will Made a Tech Pod. I'm Will.
I am Shoe Brad. That's
Brad Shoe.
That's if I were to exist on my own network, I guess I would just be called Shoe.
You're not the shoemaker. You're the shoe breaker.
I mean, that is really my ultimate goal in life is to become one with my LAN.
Okay, if you could get like Neo style Matrix Spike to the back of your head right now, would you do that?
Yikes. I was thinking more Reboot, like you remember the 90s CG show Reboot?
No, I was like 20 when that came out, probably.
That is like, I'm pretty sure there were some stoned college students watching Reboot at the time.
It's possible. I didn't play for cable when I was a college student at first. I was just OTA.
I don't know where that thing aired. But anyway, I was thinking more like fun Dayglow 90s CG going inside a computer, not like dystopian robots are running the world with imprisoned human beings and you're getting a spike in the back of the neck type going inside the computer.
It's a good spike, though. It's a friendly spike sometimes. Sometimes not so much.
It seems fun in there.
Yeah.
Until you get shot at by, malevolent computer programs that are everywhere.
Look, all you have to do is play ball with the computer programs and everything's going to be fine. That's what the Matrix 4 is going to be about. It's going to be about patsies.
That's right. It's just, just let them do what they want and then let them wipe your memory. And then it's just like steak and red wine forever and ever. I will never get the image of Cypher eating that steak out of my mind. That is a very good looking steak.
It is the epitome of a steak. And Joey Pants sold it, man. He was there.
Yes. Well, yeah. I mean, he's like, he's the epitome of sleazebag.
Yeah, he was ready to like, yeah, like I gotta want, like, you pull somebody like that, looks like that out of the Matrix, and you gotta look at him and be like, man, this guy's gonna hose me at some point in the future, but he's probably pretty good on my side until the moment he turns, right?
Yeah, yeah. I wonder how it feels to be a character actor like him who is typecast as sleazebag, and just like, what does that do to your perception of yourself? You know, outside of acting jobs, you're just like, I guess I just give off sleazebag vibes. Like, that's just how people see me. I guess I'm just going to go with it. He's
just living for the day when he gets old enough that he becomes friendly and affable. Like, you know, Borgnine did that. Borgnine did the transition from like Fellini heavy or you know, spaghetti Western heavy to you know, a affable grandpa, like a lovable taxi cab driver in a post-apocalyptic New York.
There's hope for all of us.
Yeah. If we could look, if you show me somebody who did better than Borgnine, I'm not going to believe it. I think Borgnine's a hero to us all. You think and if Borgnine's bad, please don't tell me. I don't want to know he's dead.
Think he led the ideal life?
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, you know about the Dutch oven, right?
Let's just. Hey, we've got some questions here.
Oh, questions. Are we going to turn Q's into A's this week? Is it that week again already?
We've got some questions in search of some answers. I can't even remember the last one of these we did. That's how hectic things have been.
It was a month ago, I think.
Right. I'd have zero recollection of doing that episode.
Did we flip flop the weeks? Has it been 5 weeks since we turned Q's into A's?
Was that
the month before?
Was that at the tail end of your desert excursion? Look, I bet it was. Yes, that's what it was.
I looked up the other day. Well, I mean, last week now, and I was like, "Can you believe it's only been 2 weeks since we got back from the desert?" And Gina looked at me. She was like, "It has been way more than 2 weeks." And we looked at the calendar; it had been like 14 or 15 days. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like, it rained 8 inches here on Saturday or Sunday, whatever day the rain came.
Wait, was it literally 8 inches?
My rain meter in the backyard said like 7.8 inches.
Shit! Wow, that was. I mean, it was some storm. I'll tell you.
I had to dig an emergency drainage trench. It wasn't great.
Bad. That's pretty bad.
No, it's not what you want. Yeah, it's been a busy month. Yeah. So here we are once again. People have sent emails. Well, not really very many emails, but people have posted Q's into the Q's Seeking Answers channel on the Discord. Mm-hmm. I think we got an email, maybe. I don't know if it made the cut. Sorry, emailer. But yeah, let's just get in there. Let's do it. Let's make this happen.
All right. Let's get into these questions from our Discord. Thanks to everyone who wrote in. I'm going to start with a heavy. Just going to get this one out of the way. Also, I'm going to point out here real quick. I pulled these out of the Discord. Here we are recording on the 28th of October, when Halloweenification of usernames on our Discord is in full swing.
What are you talking about? Blood?
I was pretty happy with blood.
It's pretty good.
I find it pretty understated in a delightful way. Anyway, all of these usernames, practically most of them have been Halloweenified. So apologies if we don't actually know who you are. But look, I will just read the usernames as written.
Jack O'Lantern will know who you are.
Yeah. This one comes in from Tony, which is the most horrifying username I've ever heard.
Is that a reference to the 80s?
Tony,
I think?
Oh, because they're all spelled with a Y. So
no. Oh, yeah. The band, it's three different spellings.
The band spelled it was like Y-I-N-E, I believe.
Yes, that is correct.
E with an accent mark. Anyway. All right, here's the question.
I can never tell. Yeah.
I've got a daughter around Will's kid's age who is just starting to find YouTubers and streamers she likes. The way she talks about these personalities to me, someone 20 years younger than Will and not a mental health professional, seems pretty weird and parasocial a lot of the time. This has got me wondering, how do you explain to your kid the difference between someone's media presence and who they are beyond that? Being internet people of note yourselves, how would you explain to a kid that what you do as a video personality is not necessarily representative of your real life or your relationship with the viewer? How do you teach a kid to be critical of what online personalities say?
My advice is, my daughter's almost 9, we do not let her engage with streamers or YouTube or things like that. Okay. We don't let her engage with YouTube because I actually think YouTube is bad. Like they're doing a little bit better job with it now, it seems like, but the way the algorithm feeds people, it pushes people toward the content that's most engaged with rather than actually probably the best. is damaging, especially damaging for children, I feel like, because, you know, you and I and Brad and whoever else have actually we have the ability to look at this and say, oh yeah, this guy screaming about jet fuel melting steel beams is clearly full of shit, and I shouldn't engage with this content. This is a bad person. An 8-year-old doesn't know that. And like, you can get into everything from like body image problems and like, you know, a little of the light racism we've seen that is maybe, I don't want to say it's appropriate, but it's more accepted in different places than it is in maybe where you live or how you want your kid to live. So we don't engage with YouTube. Also, as an aside, we do a lot of play tests, and people come in who have spent a lot of time or maybe grew up watching streamers. And when they play games, they narrate in a way that is, I don't want to say discomforting, but it's profoundly strange.
Something that makes you feel your age.
It's kind of annoying, Brad.
Yeah, no, I get it. I understand.
Like, we've talked about it a lot, and we're reaching the point now she is starting to watch a few YouTubers. What we're doing is picking people who we find are acceptable and who aren't super annoying and are actually providing value and kind of like actually teaching the kids about the game. Like Minecraft YouTubers are a great example, because there's some that are just like, hey, look at this cool pack you can buy. You can buy this pack using my affiliate code and you know, you'll help support the channel. And the kid's like, hey, I want to get this pack with the extra with the llama skins. That's fantastic, Dad. Can I get this? It's only 400 mine coins. And then there are others that are like, hey, here's how you build a working supercomputer out of redstone in Minecraft.
Those are the ones you want them watching.
Those are the ones you want them watching. Yeah. Like she watches this woman who teaches kids how to make like secret doors and like how to do like cool mechanisms and stuff like that. And that stuff's really great. Like, I think that's good, and it helps them understand more about how the game works and how to get more out of the game versus, hey, here's a funnel through which I can extract revenue from children's parents. So
are you able to, are the parental controls such that you can just straight up allow only a small number of channels and she just can't access any others?
So yes, except for the fact that school was virtual for a long time. And as a result of that, everybody has internet at home now, and the teachers can assume that people have internet at home, so they can require YouTube viewing for school assignments and stuff like that now, which means that we couldn't do the allowed list anymore, because the teachers YouTube channels where they're putting videos up and stuff like that are off limits. And they like some of them are actually pretty good about doing the thing that you're probably not supposed to do and just downloading the video and then putting it up on their channel. And then others are just like, hey, here's a link to some randoms. I mean, it's a fine channel. It's like a science museum or whatever, but it became that allow list thing ended up not scaling once they were like 6 years old or 7 years old.
Okay.
The general rule we give my daughter for how to tell if somebody is in your best interest is if they're trying to convince you to buy something, or if they're talking about something in a way that makes you want to buy it, maybe watch out.
Try to resist those feelings.
Yeah, that's when things are weird. If you feel like they're your friend and they're trying to sell you some stuff, then be careful. And also, have you heard about nanotape?
Go on.
I'm kidding, but yeah, it's weird out there, man. Be careful.
Yes. On a totally side note, tangential note, I found that nanotape had been employed to let's say preserve something on our back porch during the storm.
Oh,
and seemed to be doing the job better than I would have expected.
Nice.
We have a little like magnetic screen door that hangs over the back door that goes out on the porch.
Yeah.
And someone in the house who is not me had used nanotape.
I wouldn't have expected nanotape to work on a screen door.
Not all. Well, it's on the little Velcro siding. Well, or not siding,
okay.
but the little strips around the side that hold the screen door up. But it was up against the siding of the apartment building, and I would not have expected nanotape to adhere to that kind of surface. And yet it did.
Nanotape's truly a miracle. You can get it at Amazon.com/ offer code TechPod.
Yeah. And I didn't started to bring something up. I don't want to blow up anybody's spot, but people were talking about Wario 64 on the Discord today.
Look, Wario 64 has hustle.
Oh,
I don't have any beef with Wario.
Again, I'm not begrudging it in the slightest. I totally agree. I do wonder how much they are making at this point. But the reason I bring it up is that I just casually looked at the account, and they are over 1 million followers now. So like accounts. My bigger point is just accounts like that. Like who is the which publication is it? Is it Tech Radar?
Tech Radar, the Tech Radar guy that helps people find consoles.
Yeah, the EIC of Tech Radar also now has like 1 million followers because he helps people find PS5s and Xboxes. Well, so like those my bigger point is like those numbers have just exploded in this like kind of everybody stuck at home environment.
Well, yeah, I mean Wario's been doing this for a long time though.
Oh yeah, also that account has been doing this longer than anybody I know.
Yeah, like they were the first account I knew of. If you don't know, Wario's an account that posts like it's like kind of a little tiny bit of game news, but it's mostly like, yo, here's some games on sale on different places with affiliate links.
Sales and rare items back in stock type notifications.
Yeah, like stuff you might want. And it's pretty well curated to align with my taste so that it's like the ratio of things I want to see there and I'm interested in potentially buying are good.
Yeah.
The difference with that and like a YouTube, like a Minecraft streamer that's trying to push goat skins or whatever is that they're not providing editorial there's a little tiny bit of editorial, but it's just mostly like, hey, here's some stuff that might be useful. If you like it, follow me.
It's literally two kinds of tweets. It is literally just, hey, this is cheaper than usual. Hey, this is back in stock. Like that's basically it.
Yeah.
Like that stuff is very upfront. Like there's no subterfuge there. Like it's very
exactly.
It's honest about what it's doing. Everybody knows what it is. It's totally fine. I'm just kind of shocked at the reach that these types of accounts are suddenly seeing.
People in the game development space, Wario 64 comes up kind of a lot, it turns out.
Interesting.
More than I would have expected.
Huh. Well, it's just out there making the product. You got to keep your finger on the pulse.
I think it's got to be a collective because they just don't sleep.
So that's the thing I didn't really want to get into, but like that was the thought I had when I saw the number of followers on that account is I wonder if there's a team there. I wonder if there are employees now being paid to keep that thing going.
I assume it's either like 3 people or like 1 person with the world's worst sleep schedule, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to read this one that you highlighted here, or was that just absent-minded clicking?
Probably absent-minded clicking.
Okay. Well, now I'm looking at it. So, you know what? Actually, I take that back. I'm gonna roll back here. I'm gonna ask a question by way of Narfinger.
Okay.
What do you turn off in your house when you go on a holiday?
Ooh.
First of all, we have not been on a full out of the country or even like out of town trip together for an extended period in about 5 years. So
yeah, that's about right.
I don't remember so much what I would do, but like, let's see. Back in the day, especially when I traveled for work a lot, like if I was going to be gone for like a week plus, I would fully power down and unplug my consoles instead of leaving them in sleep mode.
Wow.
I probably would, depends on the kind of trip I was going on, but I would probably turn my NAS off unless I had a good reason to try to access it remotely.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
What else? I guess that's about it. I mean, I would always pretty much unplug PCs, consoles, everything from the wall that could be zapped while I was gone.
So when we went to Palm Desert in September, I turned the hot water heater down. I left the NAS on because we wanted to be able to keep using Plex.
Yeah, sure.
I hit the power strip on the living room entertainment center. I took my PC with me, so it was all unplugged. All that stuff was unplugged as a side effect of that. I set up the lights with the smart home stuff to like run a normal semi-random cycle so that it was off, like it incremented by like 3 minutes every other day. Either up or down, 50-50 chance.
That's just a, hey, there's people here.
It's alive.
Leave the house.
It's just the car that's gone, but somebody's still here.
We have house sitters. Honest.
What else? The hot water heater was the big one. We saved a ton of money by not running and the heat. Like that stuff got turned off.
Sure. Yeah, you've got obviously a lot of considerations that I, as not a homeowner, do not have.
Well, I mean, you still have. Well, I guess you have shared water probably for the building.
Oh
right?
yeah. We utility stuff we don't touch. Man, for as mission critical as your Plex server seems to be, We got to get some redundancy on that NAS.
I had redundancy on that NAS.
I'm telling you.
That's why it's still working.
No. I mean like power redundancy.
No, it's fine. It's been like that for like 10 years at this point. It's no big deal.
Maybe I just got it on the brain, but I did a dry run of my NUT server a couple weeks ago.
I don't want to hear about your dry run on the NUT server, Brad. It's very uncomfortable for me.
It was very exciting that it all still works when I haven't touched it in like a year and a half and everything is still.
And code rot is totally real, isn't it?
Bit rot? Absolutely.
Bit rot. Just code rot. Like the things that worked and then all of a sudden they don't anymore.
Absolutely.
Oh,
like
that's just like,
you updated Windows in a way that broke the NUT service on Windows, so now the Windows machine won't power down anymore like it's supposed to, or like you fucking did a very ill-advised apt upgrade and like broke a bunch of dependencies on something.
Yeah. Or you like one night at 8:00 you decide to put Windows 11 on your computer and wipe the drive.
Nope.
It's fine.
Nope.
Worked out great.
I continually have to relearn the lesson of if you're running services on a Unix-like of some kind, be it Linux or FreeBSD or whatever, just fucking leave it alone. Once it works, just don't touch it.
This is why my FreeNAS machine is like running a 2-year-old version of FreeNAS at this point.
Yeah. Like, I mean, the hosts, I will, just for security reasons and stuff like that, I will advocate updating the host machine.
Yeah, I do the security patches. I just don't do the major updates.
But for stuff like Plex or like a print server and stuff like that, it's like there's nothing to be gained by going into that container and updating the packages. Just fucking leave it alone. The number of times the number of times that doing that has broken the service in question and I had to like spend time figuring it out and fixing it is too many to count. It's just not worth it.
So Plex actually does good stuff. Like they update regularly with new features that are worth holding. I like worth getting in my experience. But I paid for a Plex Pass years ago. Yeah. So
well, Plex is also an edge case where it doesn't really have, at least on BSD, does not really have a lot of dependencies or any. Actually, I think it is pretty much a standalone thing. Maybe not. It
might be standalone at this point. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay. Next question is from Storm, which they describe as a meta question. As a podcast host, how weird is it to know that people listen to you at 1.5x and 2x speed regularly?
Wait, people really do that?
I see it all the time. I have never. In fact, I was on a walk recently and I accidentally bumped my podcast player to 1.5. And I thought it was right at the beginning of an episode, and I thought the host was doing a bit. I genuinely thought, like, is he just doing his best John Machida impression? What is going on here? Is this some kind of extended bit that, wow, he's really keeping this going? What the fuck? And then I finally looked and like, but I can't say I enjoyed it.
When I did that to Overcast or whatever podcast listener, I at one point when I turned it on when it was a new feature, I was like, oh, this is neat. Maybe I'll try this. I was like, oh God, no, I can't. So I feel like we should do something to fuck with those people. Either we should talk very slow. Either
what do you recommend, Will?
Well, I was thinking we should actually talk really, really fast, and then it goes even faster and I can't hear anything we say. And that would teach them an important lesson about listening to podcasts too fast and suffering really badly and having a bad time when they're listening to the podcasts.
Man, you know what I mean? That was pretty impressive. I started to say, I think slow talking is way easier than fast talking, but
my father was an auctioneer, you know.
Oh, okay. Then you came by it honestly.
We used to practice the patter at the dinner table.
Oh, wow. Okay. I was going to say that. Yeah. Now that you mention it, that seemed way too rehearsed to be off the cuff.
No. So the trick is you just keep repeating the same thing you say over and over and over again. And you keep repeating until you come up with the next thing to say, and then you say the next thing, and then you say the next thing, and then you say the next thing, and then you have to come up with something else, and then you come back to the first thing again. You say that again and again and again and again and again until you're ready to go for the next one, and then you can go again.
Wow.
Betty Butter bought some butter, but she said it's butter bitter. If I put my batter, like my batter bitter, so she put some bitter batter, bitter batter, made her bitter better. Betty Butter bought a bit of better butter.
That is a hell of a party trick.
There you go. Give me 3 beers, I can do even faster.
Oh boy,
that's not true.
Faster but less accurate.
Oh yeah, messy.
Okay, are we done with that one? We're done.
Yeah. I mean, look, more power to them. I got no beef. If people want to listen to us really fast, I think that would make me crazy. But your brain is better than mine at that, I guess. Congratulations.
Sure. Let's see here. I continue to scroll here. Sorry, I had one. How about this? Here it is. I'm sorry. I should be more organized than this. Hendubs writes in. What are some things, especially tech related, that you see as essential, but that you also will never spend a lot of money on? Do you have any Amazon Basics must-haves, for example?
Ooh,
this is an interesting question because there are a zillion things that I feel like fall into this category of I need one, but I refuse to spend what feels like an exorbitant amount of money on it.
Like cables are in this category for me because I will often just buy, and I'm real bad about doing the thing where like I need one cable. I'm like, might as well do the US government thing and just, they're already coming out. Might as well just get that second one because the 2-packs like $1 more than the 1-pack.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know I don't even know kind of what Amazon Basics sells.
Kind of everything at this point. We have an Amazon Basics paper shredder, for example, and I would say that is exactly the kind of item where I would say good enough is good enough.
Yeah, hole punch, like a 3-hole punch. That's real convenient.
Yeah, like I guess maybe the distinction here is like when you need the thing, is your instinct to buy the cheapest one you can find or the nicest one you can find? And I would say
depends.
Like I would say a lot of personal effects fall into that category for me. Like I needed a new beard trimmer a few months ago.
Yeah, what'd you get? I need a new beard trimmer.
Yeah, oh God, what brand does it say?
I'm using the one that Vinny and I bought in like 2012 still, 2011 when we were in the basement. Yeah.
Wow, geez.
I don't trim the beard that much, it turns out.
I guess it's certainly true. You don't.
Hasn't been an issue.
I think I ended up with a Philips Norelco. But the crucial selling point of that model is that it was under $20. I was not going to spend a lot of money on a dinky beard trimmer.
So I used to have a really awesome wall beard trimmer, and then the dog got paw pads infected once, and Gina used it to trim the dog's feet, and I was like, I'm never using that again.
Boy, yikes. Wall is what burned me. That's how I ended up with something else. But anyway,
there you go.
Let's see. I'm trying to think.
I'm looking at the Amazon Basics list. There's some cool, I'm looking at they have a bunch of console controller chargers, which conceptually is something I would, you know what I really want? This is going to sound really stupid, but what I really want is a dock that I can plug both my Switch and my PlayStation controllers in. And so it's one thing that they all charge. You know what I mean? Like I don't want
just
two things.
Like an all-in-one controller charging station.
Yeah.
Huh.
And like these chargers are too big. And like I'm a mouse pad snob, so I'd never buy a mouse pad. I buy stupid expensive gamer mouse pads.
Would it surprise you to know that I have had the same mouse pad since somewhere around 2005?
Does it have your face on it there?
No, it's actually
your Brad pad.
It was a free mouse pad that came with all the Alienwares that we got at GameSpot at one point.
It's
fine. A Funk pad.
I love I used a Funk pad for a long time and then I wore it out.
That's the thing. Well, weirdly, this thing has held up. I don't know. It's still mousing just fine, but it's quite good.
I think the Funk pad went out of business because they made two good ones. Oh, I buy Amazon Basics batteries.
I would fully believe that the Funk pad was so good nobody ever bought another one.
Yeah, I think you buy one of those and you're probably good forever, and everybody learned an important lesson. But coin cell batteries those are Amazon Basics for sure. I use kind of a lot of those. And then
they have everything on here: office furniture, kitchen, travel, yoga mats, computer accessories, bedding, batteries, pet supplies. I mean, it's all rebranded, right?
Well, theoretically, I guess. So what about light bulbs? Do you buy light? I wouldn't buy light. I'm pretty picky about color reproduction and stuff. I buy specific light bulbs.
When I stocked up on LED bulbs a year or two ago, I actually went and read reviews about hey, what's got the right color temperature? What's going to last? I think we ended up with a bunch of Crees. I think we talked about that.
Yeah, I love the Crees.
Early episode, but the Crees have been pretty good.
My first batch of Crees that are now about 10 years old are starting to get kind of janky, and I got to replace some of them.
LEDs?
But yeah, but
that's a pretty good run.
10 years.
Yeah, 10 years, pretty good run.
Not bad. And especially since they were the early ones that had to have big heat sinks and stuff like that is I think pretty good.
Heat sink on a light bulb. What will they think of next?
I mean, look, that extra energy has to go somewhere. I wouldn't I've bought Amazon Basics TV wall mounts and stuff like that before, I guess. That's a good place to get something that's good enough. But I wouldn't buy an office chair.
Oh, I've seen, I believe there's an Amazon Basics monitor arm that people like quite a bit. That's a good example.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, though, I'm a little skeezed out by Amazon Basics because it seems like the kind of thing where Amazon, knowing exactly what's selling and what the percentages are, could decide which businesses they want to destroy on a business by business basis.
Yeah.
So like maybe I don't know. I'm always kind of conflicted on Amazon because I do buy a lot of stuff from them. Then they're very cheap.
My feeling is that ship sailed as soon as you walk in the door at Amazon.
Probably true.
Like once you're in there, like it's already indefensible to be even buying things from Amazon. Like you can't split hairs about what you get there. There's no ethical Amazon under Amazon. Okay.
I mean, I find it telling that like neither Google nor Apple really have strong Amazon presences when Amazon's the largest retailer in the United States.
Sure.
Or in probably the world at this point. Like that's a real like, hey, man, if the other giant $1 trillion corporations don't work with this giant $1 trillion corporation, maybe
this might tell you something.
Maybe don't. I don't know.
I mean, it's whatever. It's well documented, but I mean, they did the thing. They ran everybody else out of town physically.
Yeah.
So there's like no end of categories of products that you can basically only get from Amazon now because it's not like you can drive somewhere within driving distance and buy it.
21st century Sears, baby.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, that's depressing.
Yeah. Anyway. Let's move on.
Yeah.
This is an interesting kind of 3-part question.
Ooh.
Not all of which I have a good answer for, but some of them I do. From Laura Makes Art.
Okay.
I'm an old forum user and an artist, so I basically think social media sucks, but I do have to deal with it anyway. I'm suddenly in a space where I could perhaps influence the direction my day job at a creative software company goes in terms of building some community aspects into its platforms. So I have 3 questions. The first one is one I don't really have a great answer for. Do you ever specifically go searching for art on the internet? And if so, where do you go first?
Ooh,
I'm more of a, let's say, passive art consumer, I guess. Like I like what I see, but I don't really like seek it out. Like I see cool stuff on Twitter go by, but I guess I would say Twitter. I guess that's my answer. I don't know.
So I used to follow artists that I used to use Instagram pretty passively, exclusively as a way to like see work from photographers and artists that I liked.
That's a good point. I have followed some photographers in particular that were working in a category I liked.
Like my Instagram account is following a lot of like Mondo people and like poster art people and pop art people and stuff like that.
My little subgenre is I was following a bunch of photographers for a while who take photos of urban areas at night.
Ooh, I like that.
Particularly in Japan and Korea.
That's cool.
Like basically wet pavement and neon lights as a genre.
Like cyberpunk,
kind of. A lot of back alleys, a lot of like ramen shops and back alleys with like neon lights on the wet pavement.
So I also hit subreddits for that kind of stuff.
Sure.
There's a couple of like if you, there's a couple of subreddits and I don't remember the names of them, but there's one that's like people who who basically do like street photography in video games that have photo modes.
Mm-hmm.
And I found those people, I think probably through Twitter, maybe through like a PC Gamer article or something.
Sure.
And then ArtStation is good too, if I'm looking to like hire someone or buy something.
Oh yeah. No DeviantArt.
Not anymore. Like, you know what the problem with DeviantArt is? Ultimately, it's not that it's it's not the subcultural nature of DeviantArt. It's that it's slow as shit. And you had to like eventually it reached a point where when I last regularly used it, it reached a point where you had to log in to do anything, including like browse.
Yes.
And that's a no from me.
I was on there a couple years ago trying to get some, what was it, UI mods, I think, or wallpapers or something like that. Something computer UI related. And yes, it was a huge pain to deal with to the point that I just gave up.
Yeah, I miss the art corners of like big pre-Reddit message boards. Like Shack News and Something Awful, and those places used to have occasional art threads that were really good and you'd find some cool stuff, or wallpaper threads or whatever.
Speaking of old communities, here's the next question. When you feel nostalgic about the internet old days, is there a particular community that you wish was still a thing?
Oh, man.
Like, ironically, like I started to say, most of the ones, well, not all, but like Shack News and Something Awful are 2 examples of like communities that I hung out on way back when that have still somehow like clung to existence, if not relevance.
I think there's probably, I
don't know. But then
those old communities don't die. They just kind of fade away, right? It's
kind of, but then that made me think, like a lot of those other like Quake spawn sites are long gone.
Yeah.
Like the hard OCP forums, I don't think exist anymore in any real capacity, which like I don't necessarily miss those, but like I did spend a lot of time on there when I was in my big overclocking phase.
Yeah, we had a really robust message board at Maximum PC for a long time. Hard OCP is just the forums now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
Wait,
the most recent post dates are
what is
like
Kyle?
there are people posting every day in a lot of the channels, but some of them are like not so much.
What is Kyle up to these days?
I don't.
Oh, here's a story on PC Gamer. Oh, wow, from only 2 years ago. He works at Intel now.
That makes sense. They hired up a bunch of those folks.
Hard OCP is getting mothballed as Kyle Bennett leaves to join Intel. Good to know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like that I feel like my hope is that we're moving back. It seems like the pendulum is starting to swing the other way away from centralized internet stuff.
I kind of hope so. I miss like little self-contained communities carving out their own subcultures.
Yeah, like when we got Chloe, actually, we joined even like Yahoo group stuff. Like we joined a couple of Yahoo groups that were like Corgi owner stuff where you could ask questions, and like that kind of stuff's really incredibly useful. And even that's kind of got subsumed by Facebook groups and Reddit at this point,
right?
Which
like
is a little bit of a bummer.
I don't know if I'm showing my age, but I have always found it way easier to become part of a self-contained smaller community. Like I will never be anything more than a transient Reddit user. I will never dip into Reddit any longer than it takes me to like get the question answered or find the information I'm looking for, and then I'm gone. Like,
yeah,
like I'm not going to hang out on a subreddit, but I will absolutely hang out on a Discord server or a forum that is smaller and has its own thing going on, right?
At one point, Norm looked over at me logged into Reddit and saw how much karma my account had. And he's like,
"Oh no!"
He's like, "Do you not ever post anything?" I was like, "Why would I ever post anything on Reddit? Like, what do I have to offer Reddit at this point?"
I mean, I will say, like, the one thing Reddit has going for it is it's hyper specific focused communities, right? I've gone on there to ask questions about like domain, like setting up a domain record, and people had an answer for whatever weird like CNAME or alias question I had, or like I went on the PowerShell subreddit the other day to find something. Like those communities go deeper on a specific subject than I think just about anything else out there.
Well, and they have become the repository for like I will take a Reddit answer over, like if I Google something and there's a Reddit result and there's a Stack Overflow and there's like 5 other websites, I'll probably go to the Reddit one every time because it's going to be the definitive answer.
Yes,
generally.
Reddit and Stack Overflow are basically the two. Not that they're infallible, but they've generally got the most kind of hardcore deep information.
Yeah. I like. So it's like this is a tough thing because you're right. Sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. I don't know that like the RPF is one of those message board communities. It's hanging on. It's the Replica Prop Forum.
Oh,
and they're a group of like people who recreate props from films and TV and stuff like
cool.
that.
Oh, that's extremely cool.
And they do it. And I think it's because everybody has to work together to do the work that they do. So like a lot of times those communities will do, like, for example, if somebody wants to make, if you have people working on R2D2s, you'll have 30 or 40 or 100 or whatever people working on this. And actually R2D2 is a good example because there's a whole other community on a message board of the R2D2 Builders Club folks. But if somebody's making, say, if somebody wants to make a Han Solo, if you want to make a Han Solo blaster, you go sign up for the RPF, you start hanging out, you watch the Han Solo blaster thread. And then when there's enough people that want one and are willing to do some work, then everybody kind of pools their resources. And like one person makes who has access to metal machining stuff will do like the nozzle, the flash guard. And one person who has a wood mill will do the hand grips. And somebody will cast a bunch of the frames, and then everybody shares parts back and forth, and you make a few extras of each person's part, and then you sell those to the people who didn't get their shit together to do the work and cover your costs on the whole thing. So like, but that community is built around both working together to build the things and sharing the information that they collect. Because like in some cases, like people were working on the Han Solo blasters for A New Hope for like 15 years before they found all of the right parts.
Wow.
Right. Like it's like the frame of a Japanese replica of a World War II German pistol, like and like all the like eventually people figured out all the bits.
Probably
they were able to
some
make exact film grade replicas.
Like some obscure camera part from a 70s film camera bolted on there.
Yeah. The R2D2, the dome that projects the little light that projects the hologram of Princess Leia in the first movie is literally, I think, a pilot's light from a cockpit of a World War II bomber.
Oh wow.
They could focus the light on the maps when they were in the cockpit without blowing out their night vision.
That's
Luke's lightsaber is a Graflex. I'm gonna mess this up and I apologize, but I think it's a Graflex flashlight that's also highly collectible outside of Star Wars. So the flashlight collecting people are pissed because the Star Wars people have like destroyed the worldwide market for those flashlights, and then they mess them up by turning them into lightsabers. Like it's a lot, man. It's a good community though.
All of everything you just said is more interesting than the Phantom Menace Jedi like handheld communicator, which is just a painted lady razor.
Oh God, that one. Yeah. It's like a Venus.
I forget what brand it is.
A chic Venus or something. Yes, I can't remember.
Yes. Anyway, Polycount is another forum I just looked up to confirm still exists.
Ooh, what's Polycount?
Polycount it's been around for ages, like since the 90s. It's a forum for up and coming 3D modelers.
Okay.
Hobbyist 3D modelers and people looking for work or have the, professionals as well, like everything. But it's just cool to see communities like that still around. I hope the discrete forum makes a comeback.
It's interesting. Well, I mean, I feel like we're starting to see that. I realize that it's weird to say this about Discord, which is a centralized service, but we're seeing like each Discord is like a pocket of that in its own thing.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this in the past. There are open projects that mimic the way Discord works that you can self-host now. Like,
really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So it's
forever on a quest to self-host something. So,
Well, but the interesting thing about all of this is like it all ebbs and flows, right? Like we started out with the internet in the 90s with AOL, like the mass consumer version of the internet was AOL for a long time. And that was all centralized services. And then there was a great diaspora while we moved out into a bazillion websites. And then the web 2.0 stuff consolidated everything back into Facebook basically. And like the tide seems to be turning on Facebook. I hope it is at least because Facebook seems unequivocally bad.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know. Fingers crossed.
The cyclical nature of trends is so weird to me because it's so arbitrary. Like it really just seems like, what are people tired of? It's like, okay, you're tired of this thing that 5 years ago was considered the hot shit.
Yeah.
Purely because you were tired of it. We are now going to move on to something that you used to be tired of, but have had enough separation from that now it's interesting again.
I think that's right.
Like there's no logic to it. It is just, I don't know.
I mean, there is. I think there is logic. It's just that the grass is always a little bit greener, and we're always trying to make something that's better than the last thing. And like Facebook wouldn't have 3.8 billion users if they hadn't made something that's better than the last thing, right?
Yeah, yeah. I need to read up on like the cognitive science of this. I don't know what the research is underpinning it, but I was reading a forum conversation the other day. Basically, I mean, it makes total intuitive sense that like humans can only be happy if on an ongoing basis, if things are always changing and always improving. Like,
but at the same time, we also hate change as a like low cognitive level.
Right. But like you can't exist in stasis forever, or you'll like the brain will go insane, like completely numb.
Yeah.
If you're even if you're happy, quote unquote, if you have like all your needs met and like you consider yourself happy, you won't stay that way if your circumstances remain completely fixed. Like things always need to be changing. So like maybe that's part of the like, now we're on Reddit. Now we're back on forums. Like you just want something new to be excited about.
Have you ever heard, you heard about the anechoic chambers that are so quiet that eventually if you stay in there too long, you go mad?
No.
Yeah. So like those low noise chambers where they go to test like fan noise and radio interference and all that stuff. Like you can get in them. They're so quiet that you can literally hear your own heartbeat in your ears. And like eventually you start going crazy.
Yikes.
I've always wanted to go in one of those. I was thinking it'd be really fun. It'd be cool.
Okay. Lightning round. Last question.
Okay. What you got?
From Laura Makes Art.
We only did like 3 questions this week, by the way. This is a new record, I think, in terms of.
I think we can work at least a couple more in.
Okay.
Also, for people who listen to the Patreon episode, we've been doing more cues on the Patreon episode and nobody has complained yet. So
Yeah, we're definitely, and we're getting into the sillier cues, actually.
Yes.
So,
Warbird, stick around. If you listen to the Patreon episode this week, you might actually hear one of your.
Oh no! Don't encourage them.
Endless, unanswerable questions. I mean, look, I don't like Wake Forest any more than anybody else, but we're not going to talk about it on this podcast. But there is one in here that might make it in.
Okay.
This weekend. Anyway, all right, last question from Laura. If you could kill only one social media completely dead instantly
Facebook.
and forever, with all data lost and unrecoverable, which would you murder? Okay,
Facebook.
That was a lightning round, in fact.
Facebook.
I guess I have to agree. I'm trying to like just kind of a little bit of a devil's advocate. I'm just trying to think if there is another one that's worse.
So here's the thing.
And I don't think there is.
If I could kill a feature, I would kill attention algorithms that direct attention based on attention.
Yeah. I mean, that pretty much kills all of those companies, though, which like
not
maybe
really
not the worst thing.
Like Twitter has made Twitter. I mean, Twitter hasn't made its Facebook money, but Twitter does fine on a service that is basically reverse chrono, right? Like they definitely do a little juicing the algorithm with the hot thing from while you were offline now, if you don't choose to opt out of that. And
the tailored trends and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, look, man, you make a good case.
Their hands are not clean here. Okay.
No, but like, and just to be clear, I'm not advocating getting rid of WhatsApp because I realize that WhatsApp is text messaging for like a pretty substantial portion of the East.
WhatsApp was fine until Facebook controlled it.
Agreed. But yeah, I think the damage that Facebook has done is bad.
Yeah, I think YouTube is the only other one I can think of that is even close, probably.
So
YouTube is also pretty bad.
The difference for me, as somebody who used to make money on YouTube for professionally, is that YouTube, like, there's a lot of good on YouTube, right?
Sure.
Like when I needed to figure out how to get water off of the wall of my house this weekend, and they were like, you should pile up dirt and then dig a ditch. I was like, you know what? That's what I thought I should do. It's good to know that I was thinking in the right path. Like that's to me, that and like all the how to fix your toilet and how to fix your dishwasher and how to change the tire on your car and all of that kind of stuff. And like the art criticism that happens there, like people like Mikey Newman doing his movie videos and every frame of painting. And
I would even go way more obscure than that. Like the week that we talked about the Altair 8800.
Yeah.
And I found that guy's channel with like 1,000 subscribers that does nothing but him doing extremely in-depth demos of an Altair 8800 very skillfully. Like that's the best shit on YouTube. Like,
yeah,
if you want to talk lawyer, right? Sure. Like if you want to talk about ratio of good to bad, YouTube is way better than Facebook for sure.
Yeah. And by its very ephemeral nature, Facebook loses to YouTube for me on that. Cause all Facebook is YouTube can be an anger creation machine, but Facebook is designed to be an anger creation machine.
Anger creation or like inferiority creation, like the kind of the social media phenomenon of everybody else is having more fun than me and has more friends than me and is honestly, more successful than me.
Like you could fix a large portion of what's jacked up with YouTube, I think, by just switching the algorithm to look for more positive feedback than minutes watched. Like when they switched to minutes watched is when YouTube started to get really hairy.
Yes.
So
the idea of a very accessible, basically free video platform has tons of merit. The idea of what Facebook is, like the thing that Facebook does fundamentally, is probably a lot less defensible than YouTube.
Brad, a piece of ice just fell out of my cup. I was bad at drinking.
All right, time to move on. Well, let's just bang through three others here real quick. Just got to get our numbers up here.
Yeah.
Luke. I almost said it again. I almost called him Luke JP, even though it's really just not translating the country flag properly into this Google Doc. In the past, how long have either of you spent trying to perfectly set up Foobar 2000 before giving up?
Hold on, wait a second. It has the flag on my Google Doc.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. I think somebody actually mentioned that the last time I talked about this. I think it might be an OS level thing.
So Windows 11's better is what you're saying.
I'm not
rounded corners win.
I'm not saying that at all.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I think Luke JP is a perfectly catchy username.
Okay.
Even if unintentional. I don't want to shock anybody, but I am a fairly frequent Foobar 2000 user.
Still?
Which means that I guess I got it set up more or less like I like it, except I wish it had a dark mode.
Can't you just put another skin on it?
It does not support skins natively. There are ways to kind of hack themes into it, but I haven't bothered.
Oh, man.
I exclusively use it for I know I've talked about this on multiple podcasts and websites, but my comprehensive library of synthesized video game music, like music dumped from the carts and CDs, like just in the kind of tracked format where each song is 5 kilobytes. And
it can generate the MIDI.
Yes. So okay. I don't know if for whatever reason Foobar is the player that everybody wrote all the plugins for. That's like, oh, here's the Super Nintendo synthesizer plugin. Here's the Genesis. Or in fact, it's usually actually broken out by synth chip. So it's like, oh, this plugin does like the whole Yamaha series from the 80s, which covers like the Genesis, like a bunch of Japanese computers, like a bunch of arcade machines, stuff like that. But like for whatever reason, Foobar is the player that got all those plugins. And so I use it pretty much exclusively for that.
I'm surprised there's not an FPGA project to emulate those chips.
Yeah, I could see it. Well, so some of the Mr. cores have music playback functionality now, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
I believe, I forget which ones, but I think some of them you can load up a ROM and just play the music that's in there.
That sounds great.
But I want to say the music reproduction in software is better than the overall emulation. Not that the software emulation is bad, but the music reproduction is like pretty accurate.
So what's your favorite Genesis sound chip? Do you like the first one or the second one?
I own the first one, so the first one.
Okay. I own the second one, so I'm a second one.
Solved problem.
I never used Foobar, really. I would use it for like testing and for stories occasionally, but I was never a dedicated Foobar user.
Yeah, I never used it either until I got into the video game music stuff. I will say it is good at tagging podcasts, tagging metadata. Like it works for that as a fallback if you need it.
Oh, that's good to know.
Not just that it's easy to do, but like as I have gotten into this fucking world of the non-standardization of podcast metadata.
Yeah.
Like for whatever reason, the way it tags podcasts seems to be accepted by pretty much every app out there.
It's so weird that that you can do the tag in one app and it doesn't work it works in 3 out of 5 of the players that people use.
Dude, it's insane. It drives me so
maddening.
Crazy. Like I've on the Nextlander side, I have tried like 5 different solutions for embedding chapters in podcasts, and every time a different mobile app is not able to parse the chapters. It's infuriating. Forecast on the Mac, which was written by the guy who made which one does Marco Arment make? Overcast. Yeah, it was written by him. Like that's the only one I found that does chapters right for everything.
Oof.
It's very annoying. Anyway.
Yeah.
Question from Justin Hall. What is your all-time favorite OS upgrade experience and why? Windows 3.1 295, iOS 3 to 4, PS3 version 2.4. What was the new version's killer feature, or perhaps the old version was so bad that the upgrade was a godsend?
Oh man. Okay. So XP SP1 to SP2 is a big one here for me.
Okay. Yeah. We've talked about your dangerously unprotected internet lifestyle before.
Well, just I mean, the whole world's internet was unprotected with Windows SP1, Windows XP SP1.
I know.
What was the PS3 update that turned PSN back online after they messed that up?
I wonder if that's the one that they're
is that 2.4?
It could be.
I mean, I feel like that has to be like an all-timer.
I in terms of my personal excitement, and granted, I was, this speaks to my age at the time somewhat. I don't think DOS/Windows 3.1 295 will ever be topped.
Yeah, Windows 95 was a pretty big deal.
Like,
it gave me the internet.
Yes, it was a huge marketing push. Like yes, obviously they fed into that with all the hullabaloo, but it was also just a huge fucking like. It was me looking at screenshots of the Mac OS and OS 2. I started to say OS 10 because it is the brain muscle memory, but OS 2 and Mac OS had a desktop, and I thought desktops were cool as shit, and I wanted a desktop, and Windows 95 gave it to me.
Having a place to dump files, yes. It turns out, was pretty nice.
Like being able to put a file right there wherever you wanted and just leave it there, I thought was so cool.
The yeah, I think Windows 95 is a big deal. I think iOS, well, what was the second version of iOS? I don't think they called it that then. That added the App Store was a really big deal.
Sure.
If you had a phone prior to the App Store, it went from being like a cool thing that you could kind of look at the web on your phone and maybe like, watch YouTube or whatever, to a magical device that was full of possibility and wonder. I honestly, I just remember the Windows XP SP1 thing, like SP1 to SP2 was such a big deal because like everybody's machines, like if you made the slightest mistake with SP1, your computer would just be infected as hell and you'd have to wipe it and restart. And like, it was bad. It was a real bad time.
Yes.
So
yes, indeed. Okay. How about, I don't know if you have anything to say here about this question from the Toller. What's in your .bashrc or your .zshrc?
What's that?
God damn it. God damn it.
What's in your bash RC, Brad?
Not even going to get into the .profile or the .bash history. Anyway, okay. It's basically the main configuration file for bash or zshell. How do people say it? In my mind, I always say ZSH, but ZSH is pretty wordy and not very elegant. Like zshell, is that what people say? I think some people
zshell.
Yes, there you go. Some people might say zish. I'm not one of those people.
I think that's, I'm not going to say that those people are bad, but I'm going to imply it strongly by saying I'm not going to say that they're bad.
It's the default shell in Mac OS now. Like it's
really?
Yeah. Like two versions, maybe 3 versions ago, they dumped bash for zshell.
Wait, is bash the old one now?
Well, I mean, zshell also is like 20 years old or something.
Okay.
Like most shells are old. I don't think there are a lot of there's nothing new under the sun as far as shells are concerned.
Somebody has to have made somebody has to have written a new shell. Like somebody has to have been like, man, I'm tired of this garbage. I want to write a shell in Rust.
Okay, here we go. History of shells.
Oh no. Well, first they were bivalves, and then
yes, that is exactly the type of shell history that I am finding here. Let's see, snails, clams, other mollusca. No.
Radially symmetrical or bilaterally symmetrical. Trilaterally symmetrical.
So I use zshell on my NAS in BSD, and I use bash on all of my Raspberry Pis.
Man, I have literally not considered what shell I run on anything.
Do people really want to hear about this? I don't know. Like
I find it interesting.
I mean, I'm looking at the .zshrc on my NAS, technically in the little container, my little Swiss Army knife container that I use as a whole ass BSD system without it actually touching the host. I like a customized prompt.
Okay.
Do you want to, I can tell you what my prompt is.
Is it your Brad-omped?
No, it's not.
Your shromped?
It's not.
Shoe-romped?
Thank you. No, I do have a standardized color convention across every Unix like in my house, though.
I'm impressed.
It's so it's username at hostname, and then in brackets the current directory.
Do you have like a rsync or something that copies that file across the network so it's shared across all the machines?
I've thought about that. So like in Linux in particular, I don't know if this is distro specific, but in Etsy Skell in Linux, if you can put a common set of configuration files, and any new user account you make on that system will automatically inherit those. So you can put like a tmux configuration file in there, for example, if you want.
I often think that that's necessary.
It is. It absolutely is.
What is a tmux configuration file? I'm just keep asking questions. What does a tmux configuration file do, Brad?
Dude, it's the file that configures tmux. Did you know? Like I believe out of the box, tmux does not use a color like a 256 color Xterm, and you have to enable that manually if you want colors in your tmux sessions.
Hey, Brad,
it's a terminal multiplexer. Okay. It's do you know what GNU Screen is? Because it's like that, except better.
Is it a new screen thing?
It's like Screen but better, except Screen does some things the tmux does not. But okay,
you know how choices.
You know how if you SSH into a shell, and you were like, say you wanted to run a thing that was going to take a long time to run, but then you like lost that connection, it's just going to kill that session, right? And your thing's not going to finish running.
That's true.
Tmux is a way to start a session that you can then detach and run on that host in the background, even after you kill your SSH session.
Oh, that's nice.
And you can come back to it later and reattach the session, and whatever you're running will be right there. You can split the shell session into multiple panes. So you could have like a code editor on one side and like command line on the other side to run the thing that you were coding.
So,
for example,
I usually just, when I have something that's going to take a long time to run in a shell, I usually just log into the web version of the shell and do it there because that's persistent.
What if your browser crashes, man?
Well, if the shell continues usually whether the browser is open or not. So
yeah, that's, different strokes, I guess.
Life finds a way. Different strokes.
Anyway, I've gotten way off topic here. So let me finish telling you about my prompt.
Yeah. What else?
I'm divulging all of my deepest personal secrets.
I'm really disappointed that it doesn't have Brad or Shu in there.
So there's more to it. There's more to it. So if it is a non-super user account, the username is blue. If it's root, it's red. Which,
do you color code them so that you can tell which machine it is by color?
No, but if the host name is green, that means I'm on the actual host. If it's yellow, I'm in a container.
Wow.
It's just color shorthand for knowing like if I'm super user or not and if I'm in a container or not.
That is really convenient because usually I have to type some stuff to find that out.
Like I just don't want to think about it. And so if I see red in the corner of my eye, I know that I am still also, for anybody screaming at your speakers right now, no, I don't allow SSH as root. I don't even allow login as root. I just sudo to root. SU.
Okay.
In case you were wondering. People have very strong opinions about...
you SU instead of sudo?
Excuse me, sudo.
God.
Also, my understanding is that do as is the hot...
Wait, we're supposed to be using do as now? I thought do as was bad.
Sudo has some pretty conspicuous security issues. I understand. They may have been... I think they've probably been fixed at this point, but I think it may have... I think it may have hurt sudo's reputation a bit.
I'm going to out myself here. I'm going to say I don't pay as much attention to security on most of my BSD and Linux machines because they all live inside a firewall and most of them don't touch the outside world at all.
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
which I realize, and also they're not like real production machines. They're mostly stuff that I like to dink around with.
Yes, it's well, you probably do have financial data on your NAS or something like that. Like,
nope.
Are you actually going to be targeted by an attack? Probably not. But like,
I just save my financial data in archived mega.nz files that are encrypted with zip file encryption.
No, that is security through obscurity if I ever heard it.
Nobody's ever going to find that.
There is a security term. I wish I'd written this down, but I haven't encountered it in the security world for like, yes, you have a firewall in front of your whole LAN. But if something got compromised inside your LAN, you still want security between the individual nodes on the LAN, right? So
if something gets compromised inside my LAN, I have a hatchet to solve that problem.
I guess that works. What if you're in Palm Desert and your NAS is being compromised and you can't drive back up here?
Look, there's robots.
Anyway, I like my little prompt scheme. It's very handy to.
That is very clever. I like that a lot.
And then I set some aliases. I like ls to give me colors and some like convenient symbols to help me know what is a link and what is not, what is a directory and what is not.
Yeah, that is incredibly useful when you have to like ls-l/a or whatever.
So my ls alias is LA.
Okay.
Which is aliased to ls-capital G, capital F, lowercase a, lowercase h. But that is the BSD version of ls, not the GNU version. So
of course
those flags will be different if you're on Linux. we should do a whole podcast about this shit. I would talk about this all day.
I think we should do an open source podcast would be great. I would love to do that.
Yeah, we should do that.
Weird shit.
We should
let's get into that.
Let me just ramble to you about the dumb open source shit I spend time on all the time.
What I should do is just give you a shell account to log into my BSD machine, and then you can scream quietly to yourself for an hour.
I don't know if my heart can handle it.
It's probably not going to be good for you. I'm going to go ahead and tell you. I'm bad at that.
I exported a bunch of variables in this .zshrc, for example. Like when we went to work from home last year, all of Giant Bomb's video processing was handled through a Google Cloud storage bucket.
Wow, really?
And I went out, and because the web uploader for that thing is god awful fucking slow.
Yeah, it's really bad.
And I was having to upload 30 gig video files on a near daily basis. It was like, okay, I can wait for this upload to finish for 3 hours before I can post this video, or I started Googling and I found a little command line utility that Google put out called gsutil.
Oh,
do you know gsutil?
No. I was going to say the command line utilities to upload to cloud services.
Yeah.
But we used to use one for EC2 stuff at our AWS S3 buckets at Tested, and it was magic because we had a YouTube transcoder that would basically you'd upload like it was a MXF or something, like a low, basically it would archive and post our stuff in the YouTube queue, and then it would just show up in the YouTube manager like 2 hours later, pretty much ready to post because it was transcoded from our post Premiere format directly into whatever weird MP4 settings YouTube wanted. And the command line was infinitely faster than trying to upload it with a like even like Filebot or not Filebot, but Fetch, whatever the kind of universal post FTP client for Mac was. The one with it's Panic. Transmit. Yeah.
Yeah. Transmit. gsutil, which is the little Python thing that Google put out for their cloud storage platform. Yeah. It does a thing that they call, what is it? Something composite upload, parallel composite uploads is what they call it. And all that does is chop the file up into a bunch of parts and send each part up a different pipe in parallel, just as the name implies. The
only problem with those, would it completely saturate your internet, or could you configure it?
Dude, it saturated my internet so much that even traffic over my LAN slowed to a crawl. I had to find a way to throttle it because I have gigabit upstream, and it's legit gigabit upstream, not like fake. Like I'd speed test at gigabit up.
Yeah.
It literally, I was uploading 40, 50 gig files in like 5 minutes because it was literally just like redlining at 110 megabytes a second upload and not stopping. It was fucking amazing.
That's the experience. Like
my God, it was so cool.
I would like not get text messages that came in over Wi-Fi from iMessage because the internet was so saturated.
Totally.
Yes.
Like I couldn't so much as play a video off my NAS while this upload was going because it was just clogging everything. Anyway. Yep. All that is to say, I exported some shell variables with like the Google Cloud Storage address to that video bucket and some stuff like that.
Okay.
There's,
good stuff.
Type of stuff you put in your shell config.
Yeah.
Sorry, I did not mean to go on for so long.
I thoroughly enjoyed that. I felt like I learned a lot about you, and I do remain disappointed that your command line does not have. Do you have the machine name in the command line?
Yeah, that's the host name. That's so it's user at symbol host.
Got it. Okay.
The at symbol is white.
That is the one thing I usually add to the shell so that I can tell which container I'm in.
Yes. So I'm just username at host and then the current working directory in brackets.
I think I'm going to take your color coded thing because since Windows had an SSH client that's worth using now, and I stopped having to use PuTTY, which sucks.
Yeah.
I've been doing more just SSHing into the BSD machine, especially.
Yeah. The Windows built-in SSH client is quite good. I mean, it's just OpenSSH. It's literally just a port of the good one.
Yeah, no, but it's fine.
So it's quite good. Yeah.
And being able to know whether I was in the root, which I should never mess with the command line. Ooh. Not the root account, but like the root BSD root,
the root of the file system.
The root machine, not one of the containers.
Yes.
Like my rule is that I don't mess with containers. Well, so on TrueNAS, FreeNAS, whatever, I don't do plugins anymore. I just build a jail myself and do that because it's way easier to manage long term.
That's what I do. Yeah.
And I don't generally mess with the command line on the main machine, only on the containers. So it would be nice to have like a color coding system to tell me that I'm in the wrong place.
That's exactly why I do that. If the host name is yellow, I know I'm in a container and I'm not going to like irreparably damage the NAS.
Yep.
It's fun stuff.
Yeah.
We should probably stop. I really meant to put another question or two after that, and then I just went on and on and on.
One more.
Okay. How about I'm going to find a question that I flagged from everyone's favorite network guru. Well, there are quite a few favorite network gurus.
We have a lot of smart network people.
I love the networking channel. It's one of my favorites. Cake Booter.
Okay. Is that Cake Booter?
Well, normally the username is Cake Batter.
Oh, okay.
But
there's a little ghost after the name on my screen.
Like a boo. Like, you know what? I'm actually bummed we didn't hit more Halloween names on here. There were quite a few, but we just didn't pull many of those questions. Anyway, we got one here at the end.
Okay.
What's your favorite thing about Q&A week?
Oh, the constant sense of surprise because you assemble the questions usually.
Well, that's
okay. I kind of get it's kind of like a Rorschach for both the Discord, the people listening to the show, and Brad.
Yeah, it's like, which questions do I think are good?
Yeah,
blame me if you think they're bad.
No, look, the questions you pull are always interesting, and they're almost certainly not the ones I would have picked.
Okay,
which is like much more fun than answering shit that I would pick. And I'm like, I want to answer this. I should pick some for you sometimes, so you can just
totally.
Go through.
I am not territorial at all. If you want to hop in here and bold a few, I am totally game. That's a more interesting and thoughtful answer than mine, which is not having to think of a topic.
Oh, I mean, that's just goes without saying.
Like the sense of relief of 1 week a month, just knowing what the podcast is going to be without having to come up with something is profound.
I mean, there's an exercise we did when we first started, when we were talking about starting this, before we even started it, where we were like, look, if we can't come up with 10 good topics, then we shouldn't try to do this because we're going to run out of stuff immediately. And we're at like episode 111-ish now.
Yeah, which means... So I'm trying to think how many email we've done. Probably about 24 email episodes because we've been up for just over 2 years.
Well, we didn't start doing the email episodes until fairly far in, as I recall, like a few months at least.
Oh, wow. I thought we did that right off the bat.
Yeah. But
anyway,
I don't think we did email episodes when I was still driving to your house even.
Oh, wow. So maybe we've done 15 or something. Anyway, we've probably done close to 100 topic episodes, setting aside the email episodes at this point.
Yeah. And the thing that's nice about the email episodes is it gives people an opportunity to let us know, like, A, it's unexpected, but B, it gives us an opportunity to, like, often we'll hit one of these questions, and sometimes we don't answer questions because we're like, this should just be a full episode later on.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like there's one here, and I don't know whether it's people names are above or below.
The name is above the way this pasted in. The name is above the question.
Yeah, so like Pumpy has one here that's what's an example of a technological achievement or new tech that you either totally dismissed as a fad or pointless that ended up being something you eventually came to depend on or utilize often. And that is a whole episode, I think.
For sure.
That is a super good question.
Yes.
And there are a bunch of those. So it's a really nice way to find out what people are interested in, and it kind of gets us thinking in different ways, which I think is important.
For sure.
We've been doing this for 2 years and change.
God, yeah, it's a lot for sure. I'm not trying to be flip about the email episode. Like, it is often one of my favorite episodes to do.
Well, but
like it's
also,
just a relief to just have it kind of planned in advance.
Yeah. I mean, the hard part, I mean, I don't think either of us really did podcasts before that aren't just, hey, talk about some shit that happened this week or some stuff that you did this week.
1000% the case. Every we talk about this a lot. Like, it's funny, like on the next Flanders side, as we have been meeting with a bunch of podcast potential partners for podcast ads and introducing ourselves. And it's always like, yeah, we've been podcasting for like 15 years because like the hotspot started in about 2006. Right.
Yeah.
But 15 years of podcasting, all I had ever done before this podcast was just like, what's coming out this week? What happened this week? I guess that's what we're talking about.
Well, so and we kind of did that. Like, Still Entitled was a little bit of a mix, but it was often like just talking about what we were thinking about that week.
Right.
So like if a new MCU movie was coming out, that was like 2 weeks worth of podcasts there. And like having to be thoughtful and do research is it's not a lot of pressure in the great scheme of things.
So the research, again, even doing the legwork of researching stuff is totally fine. It's literally just thinking of what to research. Like it's the idea well sometimes runs dry.
Well,
like once we know what we're doing, I'm off to the races as far as just getting ready for it.
I wonder if we're too hard. Like, this is something I'd love feedback on, actually.
I know what you're about to say, and I think we absolutely are, because every time I say, like, oh, I hope this wasn't too unfocused or rambly or whatever, and people on the Discord are always just like, hey, it's fine. Like, just talk about what you want to talk about. Well, like, every episode doesn't have to be like a high concept, like, pages of research thing.
I also wonder if we, like, I know I definitely tend to pick, like, I'll nix an episode idea because I'm like, I don't think we can do 45 minutes on that. I think we'll run out of steam before we get to the legally mandated length for a tech pod. He says as we enter our 90th minute now soon. So yeah, I don't know. I kind of wonder, like one of the things we've been talking about is doing some episodes that are smaller, like that are maybe 2 smaller topics, like more potpourri kind of style, but that are like, hey, here's 2 things that we maybe didn't think could sustain a whole episode, but we'll
kind of a segment thing, right? It's like, hey, here's 3 15-minute segments, or here's 2 25-ish minute segments, something like that.
Yeah.
We kind of did that.
I'd love to hear feedback on that, actually.
A few weeks ago, the kind of the week of calamity on the internet with the Twitch hack and the Facebook outage, we kind of did a 3-part little thing. So
I wish we had saved Windows 11, honestly, because there's a lot to talk about there, and I feel like we kind of burned that one on a 20-minute segment.
Yes, we did. Also, I'm just going to say my idea for what that episode was going to be publicly, which was that we both sit down and just live use Windows 11 for the first time and record our thoughts. But that probably works better with video than without it.
I mean, we could do a video with that, but
like that essentially would have been a quick look of Windows 11. But yeah.
I did that on the stream. People had Windows 11 questions the other night when I was streaming, because it, like, they see it, right? It comes up, and I was like, "Well, here you go. We can see some Windows 11. Look, everything's in the middle.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Yep. Unless you move it back to the left, like a decent person.
But I want it on the side, so moving it to the left only gets me like halfway to where I want to be.
See, they have taken control out of your hands. How can you not be enraged about this?
I like the round corners. Honestly, right. You know what the best part of it is? I'm going to tell you, you're going to love this, because I know how your brain works. The best part of it is that when I say, hey, don't ever use this input or output for audio again, it respects that.
Okay.
So like the speakers on my monitor that I've never, ever in my life have wanted to use.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
When I say, hey, this output is bad, don't ever touch it, Windows doesn't switch to it when I get a video card upgrade.
That does sound pretty appealing.
I don't know if it's worth upgrading, but it was free. So
I get it. I get it. Well, I don't want to write any checks that I cannot later cash, but I think I have got my next upgrade somewhat planned out.
Would you spec out a machine?
And it will be sooner than later.
Ooh.
Yes, except it includes a CPU that is not on the market yet. So
Brad, good God, man.
But it's like 2 or 3 months away.
Oh no.
I basically wanted to see how Alder Lake shakes out and the Ryzen refresh that is due in the next 2-3 months.
Maybe we should talk about, I think we have a topic for next week already.
Yes, we're going to talk about daylight savings time next week.
But we should talk about Alder Lake, because like I saw that analysts and stuff are getting those parts now, and they may even be for sale. I can't remember.
They are actually, or there are at least there are pages up on retail sites. Like I saw somebody on our Discord said that they are going on sale before the coverage embargo lifts, which sounds
weird. What a weird coincidence. Why would they do that?
A little dodgy to me, but
anyway, there's stuff to talk about there, I think.
There is. I was, and I guess still am thinking about Alder Lake a little bit, but there is a refresh on the current Ryzens that's going into production like now for sale in the next 2-3 months, and I'm almost certainly going to get one of those. I was going to say, in a world where PCI Express lanes matter, which is, I think, the world in which we live, I kind of like, I think my next machine might be a Ryzen. Are they good on?
Yeah, they have like Intel, at least with the I'm on an i9900, and it has a ridiculously low number of PCI Express lanes available to peripherals. So that basically if you plug anything in, including like an NVMe SSD, you're running at 8x on your video card.
Oh, that stinks.
The thing I don't know.
The thing they're upgrading on the Ryzens is, remember when it was big news when like Intel came up with 3D transistors and like 3D NAND flash became a thing?
I was at the launch for that. Oh, wow. The announcement.
I bet that was a wild party.
And it was at the Exploratorium in their auditorium that they can use speakers and microphones to mimic any auditory space in the world.
That actually does sound
a really cool room.
That actually does sound very cool. Anyway,
they just showed presentations mostly in it. It wasn't super great. It wasn't a real showcase.
That's a bummer. Yeah. So AMD has come up with a similar technique for I forget which cache on the CPU. It's probably L3. I would assume.
I guess they usually do big L3s.
They are now able to stack the L3, I think the L3 cache, one of the caches on the CPU, on the die, or maybe it's on the chiplets. I forget where it is, but anyway, they're able to massively increase the amount of cache by stacking it up now. And so they are saying that's like a pretty big deal for game performance to have that much extra cash.
Occasionally there are moments when I wish that we still marketed things like we did in the 90s, because there'd be all sorts of stacked jokes on the marketing for that CPU if that was the case. But I think we live in a better world.
You're probably right. We also live in a world where we should end this podcast.
Yeah, my hard drive just arrived. I got to go plug that thing in and get backing up.
Save Flanders.
Save Flanders. Oh, God. Don't even say it. This is the time of show where we thank our patrons.
Yeah.
Thank you, patrons.
Thank you. Thank you for letting us ramble about this nonsense.
As always, thank you to everyone. If you would like to be a part of the TechPod Patreon, you can join it by going to patreon.com/TechPod. That's patreon.com/TechPod. For as little as $2 a month, you can join the fabulous TechPod Discord, where you can talk to the wonderful people whose spooky Halloween names you heard today. In one of we have 50 look, I had to put myself in Discord jail earlier today, Brad, because I talked about politics.
Did you actually do it?
I'm in there right now.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Hang on. I have to go look at this. I believe this is hang on.
It's the first time anybody's been in Discord jail, to the best of my knowledge.
The inaugural incarceration on our server is you.
I came in and I was shitposting in general, and I was like, I got to go to Discord jail.
We have a thread for that.
Yeah, well, look, I couldn't hold myself back. Sometimes you got to just make mistakes. I'm sure I'll be let out soon.
We have a thread for shitposting. It's called The Darkness.
People smuggled in some cigarettes and cake with a file in it, so I'll be okay. So
you are still pounding rocks in Discord jail, it looks like.
That's where I am. If you want to join again, it's patreon.com/TechPod. As always, thank you to all of our supporters. We really, really appreciate you.
Yes.
But very special thanks. Oh, this is the month. Wait, it's the end of the month, Brad. This is the long list.
Oh, boy.
This isn't the short list.
Oh, no, cannot shirk our duties.
Oh, man, I almost screwed this up. Very special thanks to our executive producer tier patrons, including Andrew Slosky, Paddle Creek Games, the makers of Fractured Veil, David Allen, Jacob Chappell, James Kamek, Joel Krauska, The Bunny Fiend, and Twinkle Twinkie. And as always, also an extra special thanks to our associate producer tier patrons, including Andre Burke, Arthur Geese, Dan Brockman, Dave Yulian, Graham Banks, Jad Rita, Jason Nealand, Jay Maybe, Jorge Pereira, Josh Klein, Julian, Mike Bell, Ryson, Sanchit Kumar, Steve Lynn. Hey, thanks, Steve. Terry Cox, Thomas Shea, and Wedge. Thank you all so much.
Thank you very much.
We really appreciate it.
Very much.
Hope you enjoy the show. So
I'm going to do something highly unorthodox here.
Yes.
I'm going to read one more question. We don't have to answer it.
It's a post thank you question.
It is from Trick or Treat.
Ooh.
The KC in Trick is capitalized, so I'm guessing this person normally goes by KC.
Okay.
But currently it says Trick or Treat. They just say, I desperately want you to read my name on air, but I can't think of a good question. So what's I times R equal to? If you don't have an answer, it's okay. I'm
really glad you didn't ask the question from.
You didn't have to say that out loud, but I guess you did it anyway.
I can beep it. We can beep it.
Wait, that's a good question. I bolded that question. We might read it on the Patreon episode.
Well, there you go.
But
your time is coming.
I don't know what I times R is, but we have said your username.
Isn't I an irrational number?
Maybe. I tried to Google.
I is the square root of -2, I believe.
I tried to Google this, and I got some stuff back about Ohm's law, but I don't know if that's actually what I'm looking for or not.
Hold on. Wait.
Oh, is that voltage? Does that give you voltage? Is that what I'm seeing here?
Oh, it could be a resistance thing.
V equals I times R. We were not supposed to actually answer this question. I just wanted to read their name as requested.
This is an impossible question. That's what they've done.
I think that's the idea.
God damn it. Thanks, everybody. Have a good week. See y'all next week. Patreon episode sometime before the end of the month. Probably today. Maybe yesterday. I don't know. What if the Patreon episode goes up before this episode? Cats and dogs living together.
Another impossible question. We have to go.
Bye.